Morning you guys, it's Karen and I have a bit of an odd video today in that I'm telling you a couple of the things I do that are controversial relating to skincare, because they're things that I get comments on and criticism on, and so I thought I would tell you why I do. There's 4 things on here, why I do these things, you know, my thinking on it, and maybe it will help somebody. So the first one, and the reason for doing this video, I did mention briefly in another one, is that whenever I talk about the fact that I use micellar water to, I mean, I don't use it to cleanse. I use an oily makeup remover and then I use micellar water almost as a toner. But I use it as a cleanser in the morning, I suppose, because I get up, cleanse my face with micellar water and then put my day cream on, etc. I get comments saying that I should rinse the micellar water off and that, you know, I should use a proper cleanser with water to wash my face. And the most recent comment was, well, it was a question, are you saying you never properly clean your face? And by properly, I'm assuming she meant with water. And so the biggest controversy about me is that I very rarely use water and a cleanser to take off my makeup, to clean my face. And I have been in that routine for 15-20 years. This is not a new thing. Actually, over the last probably 5 years, I have used more water than ever before, because I've tried different cleansers and things, you know, and I do like some balms that you use to get your makeup off, and oils. I like the Body Shop cleansing oil, and so I'll go through phases really. Like, I can't remember the last time I used water on my face, but sometimes I will, because the things are sitting there in the bathroom, you know, for me to use, and I'll use it with a makeup removing cloth, and then I'll go through a phase of using it, and then something will happen and I'll go, no, I need to go back to not using water. The reason that I stopped using water was because of my acne, because I had very, very bad acne, mostly just on my chin. I would occasionally get one somewhere else, but it was normally on my chin, and it would be these big, like, painful lumps that were just awful. And, you know, just when you think life couldn't get any worse, you've got this great big thing on your face, suddenly another one would appear. And I thought that I was noticing a pattern, that when I had a lump or a spot or whatever, that if I washed my face, I would get more and it would spread. And so I experimented with that over a couple of years, because I did like to exfoliate my skin and all of that. You know, I would use little micro exfoliants, and I sort of stopped that, and I would notice that when I stopped it and I just use cleansers without water, whatever spot I had would heal quicker and it wouldn't spread. And I tested that theory many, many times. And so I would still wash my face or clean my face with, you know, cleansers that I was trying in the shower and whatnot. But if I got a spot, I would stop and I wouldn't get water near my face, and I didn't even think about it being the water. I just felt that it was, you know, you're sort of moving things. I don't know, I wasn't really sure why, but I was like, I'm just not washing my face that way. I'm going to use cotton pads and a cleanser, and micellar water or a toner. At one time I was using terrible things on my skin. I was using this product, I don't know if anybody can remember this, but it was called 1006. It was by, I don't know, Garnier or something like that, but it had so much alcohol in it. I mean, you opened it and it would kind of sting your eyes. That's how much alcohol was in it. I used to use an eye makeup remover to remove my eye makeup, and then I would use this 1006 to take the rest of my face off. Honestly, I don't know how my skin survived. But obviously over the years I've started using gentler toners, and then now I use micellar water and an oily makeup remover. So that's why I started doing it. But then, you know, with YouTube and more research into skincare and more of a hobby of skincare, I realised that actually it was maybe something to do with the pH, because the pH of water, and this is good water here in Scotland, but the pH of my water is somewhere between 6 and 6.5, and the pH of micellar water is around about 5. And even the toners that I use, the pH is around about 5. So the pH of the things that I use on my skin is much closer to the pH of my skin, and as we all know, that is better for you. And I think that's why, you know, in the Korean 10-step cleanse, if you use water, you then go and what's the word? I can't can't think of the word, I've used it myself before, you know, you rinse your face, but then you go and use an acid toner to kind of bring the pH back down again. And I know that when people have acne, it can be a problem of pH. And so I don't know if that's what worked for me, but now having that knowledge, my skin feels better when I don't use water. It doesn't feel as dry. I don't get as many breakouts, because I still do get breakouts now. I don't get the same kind of cystic acne now, but I do get breakouts still. But like I said, my skin doesn't feel as dry and I don't get as many breakouts when I don't use water. So that's why. When people talk about micellar water should be rinsed off, I've done a whole video on should you rinse micellar water off, and as I say in that video, there's different questions you should be asking. It depends on the micellar water, it depends on the ingredients and how your skin relates to those ingredients, but micellar waters are designed to be left on, and the ingredients in them are the same. You know, those ingredients are also in things like toners that nobody says, well, you need to rinse that off. So yeah, that's a whole other video. The second thing I do is I change my skincare often. So I am impatient, I suppose you could say. I love variety, I love new products, and I might buy a product like this Retinol, use half of it and then go, oh no, I'm gonna try this now because I've just bought this new product. And I think a lot of people are like, how can you tell if there's any results? I'll talk about that a bit more when I talk about the fourth thing I do that's crazy, which is doing first impressions reviews. But I think that I've always loved trying different products on my skin, and I think that I've only really been able to afford to try different products on my skin since being on YouTube. And since being on YouTube, my skin has been the best it's ever been, apart from wrinkles and anything related to aging. But you know, in the years before that, when I was using alcohol and fragrance and not mixing skincare because I could only afford to buy one cleanser, one moisturizer, etc. It wasn't as good as it is now, and so I don't think I've done certainly any visible harm. My skin feels and looks better, and so I haven't found any problems with changing skincare. I think that variety is good. It's almost like, you'll have heard me say this before if you follow me, but like hedging your bets, you know, I give it a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I do the same with supplements. You know, I might take a CoQ10 for a couple of months and then take a vitamin D for a couple of months, and, you know, take a few that I'm varying them rather than taking 20 supplements a day. And I kind of do the same with skincare. Number 3 thing I do that gets criticised is I use a lot of product. And the only place that I don't get criticised for that is using SPF, because of course it is encouraged for that. But I use a lot of product in other things. And so I will use a product up quickly. And people will be like, oh my goodness, how have you used that up already? There's a couple of reasons why. Firstly, I probably use something up once I get impatient and I'm like, okay, this is nearly finished, but I wish it was finished. I'll probably use more just for that reason, and I might put some on my hands, you know. The other reason is I don't want to pull my skin. A lot of products I find will say you can use 2 drops of this and it will cover your entire face. And it may cover, like say it was an oil, it may cover my face. If I put the 2 drops here and then rub it over my face, I feel like I'm pulling my skin. I really like to put the product on and be moving the product around, not be moving my face around, if that makes sense. And so I don't mind doing that. There are no products that by using extra you're going to cause damage to your skin. There might be some people that disagree with that, because there are people that have left comments saying you're using too much, you're going to damage your skin. I mean, if I put, for example, if I used a 1% tretinoin and only a tiny bit over my face, I suppose that's the one exception. Tretinoin is the exception. But with tretinoin, I would be more careful. But mostly it's moisturizers, it's serums, it's things like that I'm using too much of. So that's why I do that. The final thing that I do that gets criticism is I review things too quickly. So my reviews are a first impressions review. So I want to tell you how this feels on your skin. Has it caused me any irritation? Is the texture nice? Is it lovely to use? Does it sink in? Does it ball up on your skin? Does it feel oily? Or does it feel matte? Those are the kind of things I want to tell you. And also the ingredients. I'm looking at the ingredients, the packaging, the price. And I think all of that information is the most relevant information, because whether or not it will benefit your skin will depend on so many things. And I almost am not sure I don't think it's easy for a YouTuber to come and say, I've used this cream for 6 months and it is effective and these are the results I've had, because most YouTubers that are into skincare, we are using lots of different active ingredients. We are maybe also using gadgets such as microcurrents, you know, the Foreo, and we're using LED lights. We've all got different lifestyles, you know, being out in the sun, not being in the sun, using a high SPF, not using an SPF, and the passage of time as well. You know, if I reviewed something before and after 6 months, 6 months has passed and I might have had a really stressful 6 months. My skin might have been dried because I had the heating up high, and it could look worse. You know, there's so many reasons. So I think it's really difficult to do videos where I'm saying this is the effect on my skin, but a lot of people get upset at that. They're like, you've only been using this 2 weeks. How can you do a review? But I'm doing a first impressions review, telling you how it feels, telling you what the ingredients are, if there's any research behind the ingredients. And then hopefully you can take it from there as to whether or not you want to try it. I think the biggest one that I got the criticism for was the number 7. It's the one that looks like it's an injection pen. So obviously I'd been using that for, I don't know, say a week, and came and did a review on it, and people were like, no, but you need to use it for longer. But like I said, if I'd used it for longer and had results, was it down to lifestyle? Was it down to the other products that I was using? Because there's not many YouTubers, none that I can think of, that will just use one product and you can say the benefit came from that, you know. So I think that's a really difficult thing to do. So I think that's everything. I hope that that is helpful to you and maybe will give you some food for thought, particularly about the water. I think that that's really important, and I think if you are really struggling with acne, I would actually recommend to give it a try, because it may work for you. It may be the thing that stops you. Like I said, when you've got a big, horrible, obvious lump on your face, you already feel awful. Like I used to dread going into work because I would barely look at anybody. And if I had meetings or one-to-one meetings, I'd just be like, you know, trying to sort of look down, and it just changed my personality completely. And the only thing that is worse than that is then getting another lump. And so when I stopped using water, that wouldn't happen. I would still get acne and I would still get lumps, but the less I used water, the less my skin would have these lumps on them. So I would say give it a try. What have you got to lose? That's everything for today. We are off on our holidays after today. Kev is golfing all day today, and yeah, then we're off for a week. I'm going walking with alpacas next week. Can't wait. I will put some pictures on Instagram if I can. Yeah, really excited, and it looks like the weather is just turning for us as well, because it has been pouring with rain this week. No fun at all, but it looks like it's going to be a nice weather next week, and we can go on a few picnics. So I hope you're all well. I'll list all of my makeup in the description, and I will speak to you again soon.